restaurants, markets, chefs, and local cuisine. The competing chefs are given assignments, often using unusual combinations of ingredients, unlikely tools like a machete, and sometimes in challenging locations outside of the kitchen. Tom Colicchio, welcome to Fresh Air. I hope you and your family have been well. How are you?
Thank you, Terry. Thanks for having me. We're doing okay. We live in Brooklyn, and a couple weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago now, we moved out to, we have a little farmhouse out in Long Island, so we moved out here. It's just a little quieter, easier to shop. The boys have a little more room to run around, but for the most part, I guess we're in much better shape than some, but yeah, we're getting through it.
Good.
I guess it also helps that I can cook.
Yeah, you come to my house. do you know if you'll be able to open your restaurants?
We're trying to figure that out. In fact, I'm having calls with my staff right now. We're trying to figure out the best way to go about it. When we open up, there's going to be a reduction in our seating. So we're looking at a combination of probably 3 things to open up, and one would be whatever a la carte business is available. Also, to do a combination of cooked food that will deliver, and also a version of a CSA where we can use all of our suppliers to create boxes that can go out to our customers as well. So we can put together some of our farmers, our fishermen, our people that produce chicken for us or pork, and just create boxes where there'll be some prep done, but you'll still have to cook at home.
I see. So you're basically talking about changing the nature of your business.
Absolutely. At least for the next year until there's a vaccine, we're going to have to. We're looking at a possibility of maybe 30% of our original business. So we're looking at opening up into a really depressed market, and so we have to figure out how to increase our revenue streams as much as possible.
You seemed kind of down on the idea a little earlier in the epidemic of restaurants doing delivery and takeout. I think you said it was putting employees at risk without really raising enough money to be that helpful for the restaurants who were doing it. Have you changed your mind about that, or are you just thinking of a different time period, so the whole game will be changed then?
Right. Early on, when we were in the midst of New York just getting completely overwhelmed, I have a friend of mine two friends of mine, by the way, who are ER doctors, and just hearing from them from time to time, they were in a war, and when you listen to the scientists and telling everyone, if you possibly can, stay home. And so for me, and this is me personally, every restaurant they have to make their own decision based on the situation they're in, but for me, it was, I think, a better choice to keep my employees home. Unemployment had kicked in, the federal plus up on unemployment has kicked in, and so for me the calculation was, I want people to stay home, I want them to stay home with their families. Kids didn't have a school to go to, so daycare wasn't arranged for, and so I just thought it was a safer overwhelming majority of my employees come in on public transportation. And so to ask them to do that and put themselves and their families at jeopardy, I didn't think was a good idea. Now, I think the numbers are starting to come down. I think in a few more weeks they'll continue to come down. And then I think it may be safer to make a different decision. But again, everything changes day by day, week by week. And I imagine a week by now, I'll probably feel a little more comfortable asking my staff to come.
Your restaurants are pretty high-end, and you're talking about changing them into places that put together the food, and so you'd either get it cooked, or maybe you'd get the ingredients with directions on how to cook it yourself. But what about restaurants, because I know you're so familiar with the restaurant industry, what about restaurants who are lower priced, more, like medium priced, or, diners and delis and places like that? How do you see that part of the restaurant industry changing in the next year or two?